All right, guys, I'm going to post my reaction video to the vlogs. They're really good. A lot of them are really good. But I picked, to talk about, I picked Joe's and Tashira's specifically. I really found some interesting points in those I wanted to talk about. With Joe, like Morgan said in her reaction, if you see me, I'm looking at notes. I got 3 pages of notes here. So with Joe's, first off, I want to start off by saying, Joe, nice Boba Fett shirt, man. Totally dug that. Great way to start off any video. If we can wear those in the classroom, that would be awesome. Hopefully, times will change. We'll be able to wear T-shirts. So what I want to talk about is Joe really hones in on the fact of Augie contemplating the afterlife. And he brought up some really solid points I hadn't really thought about. I mean, one, Augie's just a kid. I mean, he's like 5th grade, man. He's like a young kid. So you've got this really young kid contemplating, death and what happens to you. And the 2 main points that Joe really talks about well is, there's 2 things that Augie really hopes when he contemplates the afterlife. One is, does everybody look the same as they did on Earth? That's what he asks his mom, which that I picked up when I read it. I picked that up because I thought that was a really sad point when he says that to, I'm pretty sure it was his mom. But what Joe does is he expands on it, and he talks about how he's got that in his head that he really is. It shows concern about, does everybody look like they did when they're dead? The second one tied to the afterlife would be, does everyone perceive him the same way and or perceive him in a certain way? So what Joe does is he brings in the fact of Daisy's death, which is really what pushes, or the catalyst, or what pushes towards Augie's thinking about all this. Because, see, Daisy loved and licked his face and did all that and had no problem with him. So he's really worried about these 2 aspects of, does he look the same, or is the perception going to be the same? And then he considers as something else that Joe talks about is the third option is, if he comes back, if he's reincarnated, wouldn't that be cool? Because maybe he'll come back as a super good-looking guy, tall guy, buff. So what Joe discusses in that is, this is what he perceives as what a guy's supposed to look like, super tall, which is an odd thing to throw in there. I don't know why, but super tall, because I know some tall guys, man, they are lanky. But those are really the 3 main points that he talks about with that. And he really hones in on, how a young adult could relate to this. Because this is, again, it's so sad because this is a kid that's really, really focused on it, on death and what it looks like, and almost in a yearning for this to happen, almost wanting death to occur in a way. So I thought Joe did a really good point of bringing that up and talking about it and discussing, how strange it is that a youth this young would consider that in a hopeful kind of way. But I thought he did a good job of relating it in that. The other one I wanted to talk about was Tashira's. Tashira kind of focused on Caitlin's identity. Well, she didn't kind of, she totally did. Caitlin's identity, building with behaviors and disabilities, but other people kind of causing these emotions and feelings that would, create her identity. More so, she brought up a Kerwood point that was really solid. But and she begins off by talking about how Caitlin's with stomach hurts, which shows uncomfortableness inside of her, and how much Caitlin begins to, and this was really cool. I hope I can put this in words. Caitlin begins to show a sign of emotion when she talks about her brother. She wants him here, not in the sky. So, or not in the air floating around. So it begins to show that she's having feelings, you know. And Tashira brings us up that it's a good thing Caitlin doesn't realize that, um, because she would have shut it off. I mean, she discusses how, instead of dealing with people, she goes and hides in the room. She wants to be, and that is brought in later on. That point, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but that point's brought in later on by Tashira, which is really interesting because, she hides in the room by herself. When she's put in a group, she'll want to be a part of it. It's conditioning of isolation. So she'd be conditioned to prefer isolation. So it's easier. It makes more sense to her in a way. But being around people starts to bring out some other understanding throughout the book. So, and in that, there's three main points that she talks about. One is personal space. Now, personal space really in Tashira identifies with Josh. So when Josh is walking around, she tries to stuff animalize him at first, but when he gets so close, she focuses and hones in on him. And when she does, she uses personal space. And this was really cool. I wish I had thought about this for my video. But she uses personal space, one of the rules she's learned, against him. That's what she uses, which was really, really interesting. It even after she uses it at first, she still uses it later on as a buffer for William H. and even Michael. I don't remember if Tashira brought in Michael into it this early in this point, but with both of them, she uses personal space to kind of get Josh. And then the second point is Michael begins to give Caitlin appreciation by not focusing on the disability, and that causes feelings inside of her. She feels comfortable. She feels good around Michael. She identifies him with a sense of happiness, and that's really beneficial for Caitlin. And it starts to show feelings and emotions coming out that identify that show identity. The character building. And the third one is Miss Brooks and her maternal aspect to Caitlin, that she's emplacement for the mother figure in a way. She's trying to show Caitlin things, and Caitlin does respect what Miss Brooks says, and she really listens. So it's like Miss Brooks is a way for her to identify through Miss Brooks with other people, and I thought that was a really interesting point. So Tashira really focuses on the identity of Caitlin coming out through the emotion that she brought in with personal space, Miss Brooks, and Michael as well. And with personal space, you really can say Josh, because Josh is the main thing with that. But so those three aspects really affect her and get the feeling in. I thought both Joe and Tashira did a great job. I thought they really explained it. They brought in points from the books. They brought in points to their arguments. It really made me think about things that I hadn't thought about before. So I enjoyed both of those a lot, and they really question normal versus abnormal. You got Joe saying that a kid shouldn't really be thinking about this. Other kids aren't, but Augie totally is. And Tashira, the same thing. It's understanding and development in the person. I think they would be solid points in a classroom to be able to teach students. So really enjoyed it, and hope you guys like this.